Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City!
Till I Die TV. Your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there, all right the back. How the devil are we all? Yes, it's Tuesday night, and you may or may not have seen it at the beginning, but it's a sloppy seconds night. I know what you're asking. What is a sloppy? No good shaking your head, Michael. I can see you. What is a sloppy seconds night? Basically, it's a twice a night. Twice a night, 2 shows in one night. My ex-wife used to say I could never do it. Oh, if only she knew. If only she knew. Anyway, there's no football this weekend. Well, when I say there's no football, there's an England meaningless friendly. I think we're playing the Ivory Coast on Tuesday and Switzerland on the weekend. I'll tell you one thing. If you're a betting person, put a bet on Harry Kane starting against the Ivory Coast, because he'll fancy probably 3 or 4 goals, and of course he'll get them there. Get yourself a beer, put your slippers on, pull up, and let's have a bit of a chat. We're going to be looking at the lower, I say the lower leagues. That's a little bit dismeaning, actually. We're going to be looking at League One and League Two and see how they're doing and what is happening there. So what we'll do is bring in, well, our League One and League Two expert, Michael. This is how the devil are you?
Well, you say expert. Hopefully, it won't be expert on League Two next season. But thanks for getting me involved. Pleasure to be on the show again.
It's nice to have you on, because your football knowledge of these sort of divisions is second to none. I don't know any of the teams, and no disrespect to them. I don't follow them. But in fairness, I mean, League One and League Two, because your, to say, other team is in League Two.
Yeah.
Man United is like your hobby team.
Yeah.
Newport Town obviously is your main team. Living over this, but League One and League Two, they're not your only areas of expertise, are they? Dick Paradise or Rod Fanny?
The correct answer is Rod Fanny. He used to play for Marseille.
Oh,
yeah.
You know your Fanny.
Right. Oh, yes.
I mean, can I just say, I'm so glad that Dick Paradise wasn't the correct answer and you chose that one. So anyway, we'll move on from there. A classic, young man, a classic. Your modesty is knows no bounds, sir. Knows no bounds. Chris, I think you know this guy as well here, Mike. Chris, evening, Chris. How the devil are you, sir? Mike, to show his bias towards Newport.
No biased.
I mean, to be honest with you, at least his team will get a mention. I think, is it Carlisle, sort of mid-table nothingness?
Well, I bet that they were in a relegation scrap a few months ago until they brought in their new manager. They were struggling.
I have to be honest with you. When I lived up north in Northwest, one of my mates was a Carlisle fan. So yes, no longer, no longer, shall we say? And of course, that's where Nigel Pearson, I think, started his managerial career.
Yeah.
He broke his managerial teeth on the world famous Jimmy Glass last minute save the club type of shots. But again, it was an amazing game. But I tell you what surprised me, looking down as we do at these divisions, is the number of teams that are new, that haven't been in the Football League that long. I mean, you would look there and you say, your Orients, your Newports, your Colchesters. But then there's a lot of teams that haven't been around haven't been around the top leagues for that long. But let's start and look at the bottom of League Two. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Never heard that before. I don't know. Let's not worry about that.
Either disagree or agree, Chris.
Yes. You evoke your Second Amendment or whatever it is.
Yeah, something along them lines. Yeah.
So this is how it's looking. I mean, we're literally 3/4 of the way through most games here with in the divisions, but this is the bottom of League Two, Sky Bet League Two. And to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know. For me, just looking at that, it looks like goodbye Scunthorpe.
Scunthorpe were awful last season. I think they were one of the main teams that really struggled due to the pandemic. They had no fans last season, like nobody did, and it really affected them. This season, they've not recruited well. Chris will tell you that the team is in a real mess, and I think, well, they are going to go down. I think when they do go down, I could see them potentially even going down again. They do seem like they're in a right mess. Not just, 24 points after, like you said, three quarters of the season pretty much done. Yeah, it is looking really bleak for them at the moment. They as soon as the season started, I predicted they would be down there. I thought maybe having the fans back would give them that boost, but yeah, they're done for me. They are gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they're one of those teams that you kind of, for me, I kind of know, because I say when you do look at the tables, and sometimes you look out of interest, they've always been there. Yeah.
Yeah, they have been there pretty much all the season. And like Chris says, it's not just on the field. They've had, club problems. The fans are fighting against each other. And it's one of those situations where you just need to put your differences aside and focus on, the sort of good for your club. And look, if they did have a sort of reunited fan base, I think maybe they could have done a lot better this season. But they're a tough team to play against now. I know they're rock bottom, but I think a lot of teams that will play them, whether it's towards the bottom or the top of League Two, are going to struggle against them because they know they're down. They're just fighting for pride now, which that is a tough situation to be in for an opposing team that comes up against them.
I think as well, once a club is down, and we see this in the Premier League, once a club is relegated and the pressure's off, they actually play a lot better.
Yeah. And like I said, it's going to be really difficult when a team plays Scunthorpe. Thankfully, we don't have to play them, because I know obviously a lot of Newport fans are looking at the top of the league and some of the teams that we've got to play. We've got to play loads of the teams in and around us, which I'll mention later on. But
yeah,
I'm glad we've not got to play Scunthorpe, because like you said, once you're down, you're just fighting for next season, really, aren't you? Fighting for your contract. And
I say the pressure's off, and you can kind of, enjoy the game. And if you enjoy the game, you play it a bit better. Yeah. Anthony, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? Arsenal fan there, and I have to say, please don't take this personally, James, but good evening, hope you are well. Being an Everton fan, he's obviously, coming on to sort of check where he might be playing in a few years. Sorry, James. Sorry.
I was say, we'll be doing this in a couple of years, and we can get you on, James.
Oh, getting it from both sides here, James. Scunthorpe are a complete mess. They appear to be. I mean, minus 42 goals. I mean, that's worth a couple of points to the opposition, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you look at that, they've only scored 26 this season in 38 games to only have scored 26 goals. And funny enough, and obviously they're massively safe, but you look at the other end of the spectrum and Leyton Orient, who are only, a couple of wins, from other teams away from going down, and they've got a +8. So, the league is so exciting, and this is why, League One and League Two, fans love these divisions, because you can get one end of Leyton Orient, 18 +8, and then you've got rock bottom minus 42. It's a 40 goal difference swing there, isn't it? So yeah. But yeah, Scunthorpe are completely done. I think they were done a few months ago, to be true.
I mean, Chris said earlier, and I don't remember this, I've got to be honest with you, but he said Scunthorpe used to win the Championship. What I do remember, though, is Oldham being in the Premier League. Or was it the First Division? Was it the First Division then, or the Premier League? I'm not sure.
Been there, I think it may have been the First Division.
Yeah, they're in the top flight anyway, and you look at them now, and I feel like, having spent sort of 20 years of my life in the Northwest, you kind of know how some of these clubs are struggling, and they struggle for supporters, and of course that's the be all and end all. And like I say, even not having fans in because of the COVID is going to be. So James said he used to be the Premier League. Joe Royal was manager. Indeed, he was. Yeah, was it? I think that was pre him being at Everton, wasn't it? And there's so many clubs in that Greater Manchester area.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And you because of the way that football is now, and it's not their fault, but Man City and Man United are so big that these smaller clubs do struggle. And for them, like I say, from where they were to where they are now, but they've still got a chance of staying up.
Yeah, Oldham are playing tonight as well. They've got 9th place Sutton in their game in hand. So if they win that, I know Sutton are up there, but if they were to beat Sutton at home, they would then go above Stevenage and pull Stevenage into the bottom two. So
yeah,
I know obviously. It's a difficult situation when you've got games in hand. I know everyone says it, and it's cliche. You'd rather have points on the board, but when you've got the opportunity, they're at home tonight, and to go above Stevenage will be massive. But yeah, I do agree with you. When you've got Man City, Man United, and then even teams in this league and in around like Rochdale, and teams like that. It is hard, and Bury when they were in there in League Two and League One, it's always hard to try and have a sort of local fan base. And these teams do struggle when they're in built-up areas. The same as the London teams. Stevenage are a victim of that, and like I said, when Leyton Orient as well, not too far from Arsenal and places like that. So it's always difficult to be a lower league team in a sort of built up area when you've got teams like Newport, where Cardiff and Swansea are down the road, but they're not Premier League, they're not massive. It gives us a little bit more of a chance to bring in sort of localish fans. I'm not saying we only get localish fans. We have a good connection with an Argentinian Newport supporters group that come over. That's
the weirdest thing going, isn't it?
Yeah,
an Argentinian Newport fan base
and USA as well. So, but yeah, I do agree with you in terms of Oldham that it's hard to bring fans, because why would you? I mean, when you've got Man United and Man City both playing in like I said, Greater Manchester, what are you going to choose to watch? Is pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, they've got a manager in at the moment, John Sheridan, and names some of us older ones will remember playing for talking to them, Manchester City, Leeds United, Forest. He's always sort of managed down in the lower leagues, though. He started off as Oldham caretaker, and he's come back. But Chris is saying there they have problems with their ownership. Yeah,
just to bring back on Sheridan, he used to manage us as well, and Chris will back me up on this, that John Sheridan is the type of manager that is so, I don't know what the best word to describe it, but he's so harsh on his players. He demands so much. And a lot of people and a lot of players don't sort of listen to him because they're like, oh, he's bullying us sort of thing. And I that sort of thing is really coming into football now, where constructive criticism is seen as bullying. Yeah. But John Sheridan, look, they played us a month or so ago and it was 3-3. They were dead and buried at 2-0 to Newport. They come back, go 3-2 up, and we have to get a last minute goal to, that's it, no nonsense. Yeah. A last minute goal to get a point, but they seem to keep fighting. I think they're going to stay up, and I said it to Chris earlier. I think Stevenage or Barrow are going to go down. But yeah, John Sheridan always seems to be in the League Two sort of vicinity of management. And I do like his style. Yes.
Anthony's asking who will get promoted. We'll come on to that next because we're going up through the divisions. I
forgot to answer your question on the ownership. You brought up the Oldham ownership. At the start of the season, they looked like they were going to be in massive amount of trouble. We went there on the opening day of the season, and I always do this when I go to away grounds, or if I can catch some fans of the opposition at home games. I always just say, are you happy with your season and stuff like that, and just see what other teams' fans think of their season. At the start of the season, they said, we're never staying up. The owners are words that I don't want to use, but basically
it is before the watershed, Yeah. I'm just going to say, people joke about Wikipedia and it not actually sort of being sort of maybe completely truthful all the time, and that here's just the case in point, because like you say, John Sheridan did manage Newport County, and they've actually, and this is where you say, I think, Wikipedia sometimes do get it wrong, that they're actually saying that Newport County are a professional football club. I didn't know they were professional. Well, there we go.
Terrible. That was like the charity one with Ronaldo, which I remember quite clearly, Chris. But that's 1-0 to me. Don't forget, we did beat you in the FA Cup.
Hey, I was waiting for that. Chris, you made this point here about Premier League clubs, and it's a good point. Can you bring that up towards the end of the show, and then we can cover that generally as an overall look at the Leagues 1 and League 2. You mentioned there you think it'll be Stevenage Barrow. I mean, I've taken that up there to 18th, and if we I think if you go sort of above 18th, Carlisle are 17th. There you go, Chris. Got a mention. But they look safe on 43. And Carlisle have had a good run, actually. They've won 4 of the last 5. So it looks like they're probably going to be safe. So to me, it's sort of Orient and down. You see that it's Barrow or Stevenage, do you?
Yeah, I just think Colchester always seemed to get out of it. Last season, they looked very poor. They looked at times like they were going to go down, and they just picked up form around the 39th, 40th game in the last few games, and just hopefully they don't when they play us, but just seem to, go through the rest of the season. It seems like they only wake up around this time of the season. I think Rochdale, again, looked good, and Leyton Orient seem to love scoring goals, even though they're down there. I think Leyton Orient's problem is these last minute goals that they concede. I think it was Carlisle. They went 1-0 up against Carlisle. I think Carlisle either equalised or it was 0-0 and they won 1-0. But I know Carlisle won it very late against Leyton Orient. I remember when we played them, they were 2-1 up. We scored in like the 88th minute to get a point off them. So I think Leyton Orient, if they could, stay clicked on for the rest, for the entire 90 minutes, they would be I know it's bold, but probably pushing towards the playoffs. And I did predict them at the start of the season to be in the playoff places because I know they're a team that are drilled well. I know Joby McAnuff is very good for them, and it's just not worked out really. But I think they will. Like I said, anyone from Colchester up, I think, are safe. But don't get me wrong, anyone can get dragged into it.
I mean, you look at Rochdale, obviously not that far from Oldham, and again, they're another team that they've had good times recently. I think they actually got out of League Two for probably like the first time, not recently, but they're just not consistent enough, are they?
They came down from League One last season, and the thing with Rochdale is that when they get to League One, they'll stay there for a while, but they won't. A bit like Gillingham in League One, which we'll focus on later on, but they don't really seem to have an ambition to push on, get promoted to the Championship, or it just seems like they're content with League One, and that's that's a massive point. But I think he is an awful manager personally, James. But yeah, they seem to be content with League One, and when they get relegated, it's not so much as, oh my God, we got relegated, because they don't seem to want to push on, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. So for you, I think we've got to agree there. Scunthorpe are down, definitely. But you think Oldham, I mean, they're only 3 points and they have got that game in hand. But like you say, they're playing that tonight, aren't they? But
yeah, against Sutton, that is, yeah.
Against Sutton, yeah. I mean, Barrow, again, it's a new name, and Stevenage. They're not sort of, they've come up from the non-league era. So it's nice to see these teams do it. You're not a fan of Phil Brown, then?
No, I think it's the wrong appointment from Barrow. I think he's a decent manager, but when you're towards trying to stay in the league, which Barrow are, and if Oldham were to win tonight, they're only 6 points behind them, I believe. 3 points behind them. Played the same amount of games, so I would personally be looking a lot more sort of wider in their approach. And the manager they had actually was doing an all right job. Barrow are not a team that are meant to be up there. They're on a shoestring budget. They haven't got a big fan base. Carlo, I went there the other day, and Chris showed me a picture of the away end, and it looks pretty horrific. You can't even see the pitch hardly. But yeah, I think that's the wrong appointment at the wrong time for Barrow.
Well, time will tell. Time will tell.
Very much
now,
so.
More exciting for you though is this.
Yes.
We'll look at the contenders in a minute, but Forest Green not so long ago were in the non-league pyramid. Exeter, they've been down and come back up. Northampton always seem they're again up and down a bit. Do you think that those three have got it nailed on, or do you think, and obviously you're going to say Newport here, but any of the chasing pack there, Swindon, Newport, Tranmere, Bristol Rovers, they're all in the playoffs. Who do you think is going to go up first of all?
Forest Green actually won last night, so they're now 8 points clear of Exeter. I think Forest Green.
That'll teach me to do these slides early, won't it?
No, it's fine. I think Forest Green are definitely going to go up. I think whether it is champions, look, they're 8 points clear now of Exeter. I'd imagine they would go up as champions. Forest Green's ambition was to go for the leagues, a bit like Salford, by putting money into it. I'm not, against that, because if it was Newport and we was pumping money into it to get promoted, I'd be like, look at us go, sort of thing. It's a bit like Newcastle in the Premier League, isn't it? Teams down there are annoyed that Newcastle are doing it, but if you've got the money, you're not going to say, no, let's stick to regulations. Let's abide by the rest of the teams down there. No, the aim is
to go for it. Of course,
the aim of football is to be competitive. So I think Forest Green will go up. I'm not going to say as champions, but they will go up. I really like the look of Bristol Rovers. I really do like the look of Bristol Rovers. We beat them, a couple of weeks back, but that's a derby, so anything can happen in that. The seven-side derby. My three personally, from looking at it as, you've got to take a lot of things into consideration. We've still got to play Exeter, we've still got to play Swindon, we've still got to play Sutton and Port Vale, teams all around there. So I'd probably go Forest Green. Got to say, Avenue as a prediction. I'll say Forest Green to win the league. I'm going to say Bristol Rovers to finish second, because I don't think Exeter and Northampton have the bottle, because it's going to get, look at the points, it's so tight. It's going to get gritty and gritty. You're going to have to fight, for every single game. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go Newport third.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, and good evening, and how the devil are you? I hope it's safe and that you've kept everybody under control today. He knows what I mean. I mean, the informed team there is Bristol Rovers. They've won the last 4. Forest Green aren't showing that good form. Drawn, lost, drawn, won. Newport County, and you lost at the weekend, and I know you weren't too happy about that, and I'm not mentioning it for that point, but up until that point, you'd been on a good run yourself. Drawn, 1-1-1, and like I said, it's like everybody, nobody wants to sort of take the bull by the horns and go for it. They seem to get in a good position, and then they'll lose a couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more annoyed and upset about Friday night, because it was the sort of situation where, and yeah, I do agree with that, Chris. They do have,
yeah, they do. They certainly do. Yeah.
But the annoying thing about Friday, more for me, is the fact that, we were playing on the Friday night. It was sort of, right, we're playing first. It's like a 12:30 kickoff in the Premier League, isn't it? It's like we're on first, get our win, and then say to the teams around us, go on then, you've got to capitalise on that. And the way in which we lost that was more, yes, I was angry during the game and for a long while after. But I've watched the highlights back, and I've looked at sort of the stats, and it was just Hartlepool did play well, and you get games like that where all 3 goals were on a certain individual, which I'm annoyed about. But to have that initiative to play before everyone else, put a bit of pressure on teams around us, and we just failed. And I know teams and fans are saying, there goes Newport bottling it again, but I think the last 2 years that we looked in a good position to get automatic promotion, dropped into the playoffs, I think the team's better now, and Telford hasn't scored in 5. So, I mean, considering we're on decent form without, Dom Telford haven't scored in our last 5, if he can, kick on for the last 8 games of the season, we could be up there.
I mean, James, second team there, I've just put up before, his second team is Tranmere. I mean, I can remember being, well, it's the old Wembley, so this is how far back I'm going to go. In fact, it was the last League Cup final at the old Wembley. I think it was 1999, and Leicester were playing Tranmere.
Yeah.
2 giants of the game there, weren't they? We beat them 2-1. They put up a very good fight. They went 1-0 down. An ex-Leicester player actually scored against us, and then Matt Elliott got his second, and we won it. And, it's a shame to see teams like that, because I think it was John Aldrich who was manager at the time, and, they were so close to achieving something, and it just never quite happened. And then Bristol Rovers are always sort of like the bridesmaids to Bristol City's bride, aren't they?
Yeah. Bristol Rovers at the start of the season, there's another team in League One that I'm going to sort of relate this to. Bristol Rovers signed a load of players in the summer, and everyone in League Two said this is going to be an issue. They signed a lot of players. I think it was like 12, 13 signings in the summer, which League One and League Two, that does happen a lot. You see 10, we've got our current situation. If we let all the contracts run down, we've got 10 players for next season. So it just shows that the quick turnaround in League One and League Two teams and below that you can have a whole new squad next season. And when they brought all those players in, I was like, right, I'm a bit sort of nervy whether they might really struggle. Joey Barton has done a fantastic job there. I know a lot of people hate him, me included, but they have found form at the right time. And Chris has always said this to me, and I will shout him out for this, but he always says, you know, the team that will get automatic promotion is the team that picks up from around start of March towards the end of the season, because they've got the momentum. And if they, you know, miss out on the automatics and drop into the playoffs, they will be the team that will win the playoffs because they've got all the confidence.
Yes, yeah. I mean, James, thank you very much. You've made me feel really old now. My dad watched that cup final. Thanks, James. You didn't have to say it quite like that.
James Gregory has done an excellent job. It wasn't at the time, but he's done a fantastic job at Newport.
Yeah. Oops, hang on, where have we gone here? There we go. League Two contenders. So these are just outside the top seven. I mean, the bottom of the seventh, or in seventh place, the last playoff position is Swindon with 61. And that, you see, then there's quite a few teams close by that. As you can see there, Port Vale 59, Sutton 58. Mansfield have got the games in hand, but they have lost the last two. Salford are there, Hartlepool, like you've just said, and Crawley. Do you see any of those sneaking into the playoffs?
The obvious one, and the one that everyone's going to say, is Mansfield, because they've got sort of 3 games in hand, but they have lost the last 2, like you just mentioned there, and they have got a tricky-ish running, I believe. I can't quite remember. It's so hard to try and remember everyone's running, but I think they have got quite a couple of tricky games coming up. And we've actually got 3 of those sort of teams in the remainder of the season. This is what I mean. We've got we've got those 3, plus we've got obviously Swindon and Sutton Swindon and Exeter to come. So, you know, out of the top 13, we've got 5 of them to play in our last 8 games, which is difficult. It's going to be a difficult run-in for us. But you look at the teams like Sutton and Port Vale. Well, not so much Port Vale, but I think Sutton have massively overachieved this season. And I think there might be a drop-off from Sutton. And this, as a neutral, if we get top 3, then I want Sutton to get in the playoffs and win it, because what a story that is. They, you know, playing an AstroTurf pitch last season, and not just that. I don't know if you guys remember, but they did play Arsenal in the FA Cup not so long ago with that famous Wayne Shaw incident. So it would be unbelievable to see Sutton in the League One. But from that, I would probably say Mansfield take Tranmere's place in the playoffs. I think Tranmere fall out of the playoffs personally. I know that's going to upset James. Sorry, mate, but I don't see the. I just see some. It always happens in League Two. You always get a team that I wouldn't even be surprised if it's anyone, you know, further down from that. You know, our ex-manager and legend Mike Flynn is at Walsall, and they're on, you know, 47 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they go and win like 4 or 5 games in a row and get themselves up there. You always see it. One team will, you know, just last 5
come
games
from nowhere. Exactly. Yeah. Salford, is that the team that's owned by the ex-Man United players?
That's United too. Chris will love you talking about this, because a lot of League Two fans absolutely can't stand them because of the money situation. But again, you know, what's the point when we would like it if it was on the...
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, and you know, everybody's going mad about where Newcastle's owners are getting the money from, etc. And that's politics, and don't get involved in politics, as they say. But then again, if it was your club, you wouldn't be complaining, you know. But do they splash the cash? I mean, you know, obviously the rich guys there, the class of 92, but do they actually splash the cash around?
Yeah, it was the first 1 million. I think it was £1 million they spent on. They spent on a player. I think it was Adam Rooney of Aberdeen. They brought in, and some of the players they've had there in the last few seasons. They had Darren Gibson. Don't know if you remember him from Man United. James Wilson, the Man United striker, as well. I'm trying to think of some other players they've had there. The money they've spent is ridiculous, and the reward is very little, which is always pleasing to see. But yeah, they do spend a lot of money, and it's not an understatement. Yeah. They throw contracts around at people. They sack loads of managers, which I think I've always said this about Salford when they came into the league, and they were doing this in the National League as well. It wasn't just League Two; they've been doing this since the class of '92 came in. If you've got the money, you need to have a structure, and they've just basically, like Newcastle have a structure, don't they? But Salford are just like, right, we'll just throw money at it. It's League Two. If you throw enough at it, some will stick, sort of. But it's just not worked for them, and I think they will get promoted eventually. I think Forest Green for the last couple of seasons have been flirting with promotion, and now they probably will finally get it. And I think that'll be the same for Salford. Not this year, but in a couple of years, they will definitely get promoted.
Good evening, Miss Molina. How the devil are you? Hope you're well. Having a good season there with Arsenal. We're going to go up a division, and we're going to be talking about, where Mike hopes to be next season, League One, and we'll be doing that straight after this. Yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, please click on that subscribe button and give us a follow and smash the likes. It would be very, very much said here. Salford went into League Two, already thinking about League One, which was disrespectful. Anthony says Tranmere, Northampton, Forest Green will get promoted. I don't follow the divisions at all, but I do like to see where some of these teams are and who's going up and who's going down. But talking about going down, you could even think I'd prep this, wouldn't you? Just flows so nicely. John Wayne, good evening. How are you? Hope you're well. Looking at the bottom of League One, I say these are teams that obviously you're hoping to replace next season. Crewe at the bottom there, 5 points adrift. Doncaster, I can remember playing them at the King Power before we got promoted in the Championship. Morecambe, and Wimbledon. But when you look at sort of just who's above there, it's again, I think Lincoln are safe. I've included them in there because I think at sort of 8 points clear, unless they sort of press the self-destruct button, I think Lincoln should be safe. But from Fleetwood down, it's anybody really, isn't it?
Yeah, there's one team I desperately want to get relegated, and that's Morecambe, for absolutely robbing us in the playoff final last year. But Chris is probably typing as we speak.
Let it go.
I was just going to say, Chris is probably typing as we speak, saying there goes Mike talking about Morecambe again. But obviously, for that reason, I desperately want them to go down.
Fair point.
Well, I think, a lot of people would say Crewe are done, but I don't know, because they just seem like, I've said this all season about Crewe. You're just waiting for it to happen, for the sort of the switch on to happen. And every week that's gone by, it's like, surely next week, surely the week after, but they just seem to go in further and further away. 9 points adrift now. I think they're gone. I think the one team that are going to stay up is Wimbledon. I don't know how many years they're doing this. This is like Sunderland in the Premier League. They just keep managing to stay up every single year when you expect them to go down. Fleetwood again have been awful this season. Gillingham, but yeah, I actually think it's the bottom three, and then I'd switch Wimbledon with either Fleetwood or Gillingham. It's just who can sort of gain some sort of form. Obviously, it's not going to be groundbreaking form, but who can just, they're level on points, aren't they? And it's basically whether Fleetwood can concede less with that massive goal difference swing.
I mean, there is. Again, when it gets to the sort of the nitty gritty of the last few games, that those goal differences can be worth points to the opposition. I mean, it's almost double what Fleetwood's is. Not quite as bad as Doncaster, though. That's bad. I mean, I remember growing up with Crewe.
73 goals this season, but that's not even the worst. The worst is Morecambe is 79. Sorry, Morecambe. Carry on.
Christy hasn't mentioned the playoff yet, but he is saying Morecambe are Carlisle rivals. So I hope Morecambe go down as well.
Both hope they go down for different reasons.
Yes. They're obviously popular on this show, or Morecambe. No, I mean, I grew up when Crewe, not as sort of nice a story as it used to be, but, you know, they were the ones that they would supply everybody with players. They had a good youth system.
Yeah.
Robbie Savage came from Crewe. No, that's a good thing or not, I don't know.
I thought you said they had a good youth academy.
Yeah, wow, he was all right. I like Savage. He does make me giggle. Wimbledon to me are. I mean, I love that story. You know, I mean, you know, they came in, they got bought. I mean, they won the FA Cup for God's sake against Liverpool. You know, they got themselves into the top flight. And they stayed there for quite a few seasons. I mean, we beat them in what was then whatever cup it was. It's the League Cup, but whatever it was called at the time. We beat them over 2 legs to get to the final and win it for the first time. And the fact that then, I say, they drop through the divisions, and that can happen to some teams. You know, they drop a division, and you mentioned it earlier, and I forget which team it was now, but. You know, you drop once, you can drop, 2 or 3. Scunthorpe, yeah.
Could do a double or triple relegation. We've seen teams do it.
They have, yeah. Like you say, we've seen teams do it. But I think then for Wimbledon to sort of, they get taken over, they get moved to Milton Keynes. And, whether you argue that saved the club or not, clubs aren't. They're not like America where you buy the franchise. Clubs are part of the local area. Now, it was great to see Wimbledon come back up, and it was great to see them get back into the into the leagues. But I'd like them to stay up just for that, personally. To be honest with you,
yeah.
And somebody else doesn't like Morecambe here. Anthony says Crewe, Morecambe, and Gillingham will go down.
Or do Anthony?
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just replying to Anthony saying 4 do go down.
Yes, I'm going to say. I was just about to say, and who's the other one? Anthony, but yeah, I think, like you say, I think Lincoln are safe unless, as I say, something silly happens. Going top now. Where are we doing? Have I League One promotion? I've loaded the wrong thing up, haven't I? As you can see there. So we're going to have to talk about it without the slide, but I'm sure we will do. The top of League One, Rotherham United. For those that know my channel and see me with ex-players on there, that one of them is a big fan of Rotherham United. But again, their form's been a bit iffy. They got 80 points there. Wigan are second with 79. If I was Rotherham, I'd actually be worried because, the aforementioned Milton Keynes Dons and Plymouth and Wigan, they're all on good form. And Rotherham have got to be looking over their shoulders.
Rotherham, for me, have always been this team. Everyone in the lower league says the Rotherham Barnsley sort of change. Rotherham get promoted from League One, Barnsley come down from the Championship, and then the next season it's the other way round. Rotherham for me will be fine. They'll go up. It's getting boring to watch, really. That every 2, it's a bit like Norwich, really. Every 2 years, Norwich will get promoted. Every 2 years, Rotherham will get promoted, and then the next year they'll drop down to League One and then go back into the Championship. It is annoying to watch, but as a fan, you must have a wailing of a time. You never get a dead rubber season. You're either getting promoted in joy or relegated in sadness. Wigan look really good this year. Last season they struggled massively, lost a lot of their key players, and it just shows how quick a team can rebuild. I think you've mentioned it before about Ferguson, how he kept the team, fresh, and Wigan have done that to a very high degree. So I would probably just say the top 2 as it is now. I know MK Dons are on form, but Wigan have got 2 games in hand on them, plus 3 points. So you win them, you're 9 points above them, and it's a hard ask. I know they're only 4 points behind Rotherham, but I think it'll be Rotherham and Wigan. And Plymouth are actually playing tonight as well in their game in hand. So if they win that, they do go 2 points behind MK Dons. So, yeah, I would go Rotherham, Wigan for me in terms of automatic promotion. I actually think Wigan might win the league just because I really like the way they play. And it reminds me of Southampton I'm trying to keep bringing it to Premier League comparisons, so people that are not aware of these leagues will sort of see where I'm coming from. Every year we're going to have had players that have come through their academy, or they buy cheap and then sell big. The recent ones, Jamal Lowe, Kiefer Moore, they've brought in and then they've sold to championship teams like Jamal Lowe to Swansea, Kiefer Moore to that scum down the road. Don't
be biased. Come out and say it.
Right, I need the bleach. But no, they still do well to sell their biggest assets and then still manage to sort of rebuild a new team, sell them, rebuild a new team, and that's why I really do like Wigan. I think they're a team that I do admire. And I kind of want them to get out of the league, because if we do get promoted, I don't really want to be going up to Wigan, because I think we could be given a bit of a hiding from them.
I mean, are Wigan still owned by Dave Whelan, or is he no longer with us?
I don't think they are. I think they've got a different, because I remember they were having some ownership problems, I believe. So I'm presuming that's not Dave Whelan, because obviously he was a very, very sort of honest man, and he would never put a team through ownership problems. So I do believe it is someone else. Someone could probably correct it in the chat, of course, but I don't think he's still there.
I mean, I can remember Wigan, for a long time. Again, top flight team.
Well, they won the FA Cup, didn't they? They got relegated. So it's a difficult one in terms of the playoffs, because I think there's a lot of teams that are chasing the playoffs. I mean, look at Sunderland. They've got the league's top scorer, Ross Stewart, who's been absolutely fantastic this season. I think he's on like 22 goals, 2 assists. He's been fantastic for them this year. Without his goals, I don't think Sunderland would be up there. Oxford, 74 goals this season is absolutely ridiculous. They've been by far the best scorers. I think they beat someone 5-0 the other day. I think it's Rotherham and Wigan, and then I try and predict the playoff winners, because I can't.
I know. I mean, Oxford, they flirted with it for a few years, haven't they?
Yeah, they gave Man City a really good go in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals not so long ago. I can't remember the scoreline, so I'm not even going to try and say it. But the scoring power of Oxford is absolutely ridiculous. They've got goals from all over the pitch. Obviously, Matty Taylor is a class striker. Well, not class, but for this level is unbelievable, and he will bag you a lot of goals over a season. You've got to fancy probably Oxford, or I fancy Sheffield Wednesday as an outside. We're within the magic of that, but I actually fancy Sheffield Wednesday as that team to. We've already said it, haven't we? A team surges through. I could see that being the better team from Sheffield.
Yes,
that now.
James agrees with you, as so does Chris. Rotherham love yo-yos. I like yo-yos. Rotherham are like Norwich, says James. Wigan have got the squad and should be going up, says Chris.
Will Keane is playing for Wigan, and he's doing bits for them up front, the former Man United youngster.
James thinks it'll be Rotherham and Wigan. Chris, Oxford or Plymouth to win playoffs. Oxford don't have a good history with playoffs, do they?
No.
James, it's mad that teams like Portsmouth, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, and Ipswich are in the third tier of English football.
You go even lower than that, James. You've got Bradford, Swindon, Oldham in League Two, Notts County in non-league.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember Leicester being in the third tier, Man City being in the third tier, Leeds United, there for the grace of God goes everybody. And I mean, I don't think I've ever done a graphic as quick as that, but I managed to do a new graphic and get it up with the right end of the table onto the right header. I want to talk Sunderland because they've got this young owner, haven't they?
Yeah, and I did mention about Ross Stewart. 22 goals in a league where you need a goal scorer, and Carlisle in taking it away from League One a second. Chris has said all season, if Carlisle had a proper goal scorer up front, we're lucky to have one in Dom Telford. You need one in these levels because yes, you can have goals coming from everywhere, which is good. You want to see your midfielders scoring, the odd, centre back popping up with a goal and stuff. But you need a focal point. You need someone to rely on 9 games out of 10 that will put in a, performance that is worthy of getting promoted. And Sunderland have got that in Ross Stewart, and you do need it. And I think that could push them. And like you said, what a future if they do get promoted with the young ownership of the club.
Yeah. And I just can't believe that Ross Stewart's career has gone so badly now that he's not selling records and he's having to play football at his age. But, there we go. Wow, it's an old joke, but I'm an old man. These are the contenders. Again, I think Cheltenham and Accrington, are out of it. They're too far behind. But Bolton upwards, I mean, there's another big team, Bolton that were in the Premier League, knocking on Europe's door in their recent past, really. I mean, you look at that. I mean, look at that. These are contenders that might get into the playoffs. Bolton, Portsmouth, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not talking about Wickham because I don't like Wickham for the same reason that you don't like Morecambe. They beat us in an FA Cup match, not unlike Newport.
I don't think we ever done that, Chris, personally, but
no, I mean,
did actually.
Shush. But I mean, do you see any of those breaking into those 4 positions? I mean, you've got. All right, Wednesday's got 1 game in hand. There's nobody there with a load of games in hand, but they've only got the 1 point. Sunderland, they're not, like I say, on the best of form, and they haven't lost in 5, but they've only won 3 of those. And then behind them, Sheffield Wednesday won 2 of 5, Wickham 3 of 5, Ipswich 2 of 5. It is very tight, isn't it?
Yeah, I've said it all season that the team that sat in 7th at the moment were the team that were going to get automatic promotion, Sheffield Wednesday. They went and beat, I think it was Cambridge 6-0 the other day. And Cambridge, yes, I know that they're not up there in terms of the contenders as this list is, but to go and batter someone 6-0, Cambridge are 17th. So I know that they're down there, but still to do that, and they've got Saido Berahino there, Barry Bannon, some of these names that have graced the Premier League not too long ago. And I have said they've got Peacock Farrell as well in goal, unknown from Burnley, or it might be permanent, but from Burnley. And I think Sheffield Wednesday are in a real good position. They've got the game in hand on Sunderland. Basically, if they win that, they've just got to win 7 games and then or do better than Sunderland in 7 games, and then they've got it, really, haven't they? So
they have.
They haven't got Sunderland. I had to check that to see if they have got Sunderland towards the end of the season, but no, they haven't.
I mean, like I say, again, it's really close. And I mean, you don't tend to get with the lower divisions, like, it looked for so long like Man City were going to win the Premier League. You do get those battles down there, and I do love it for that. I did say I was going to come back to this question earlier, so let me just get rid of this. And it was one that Chris Welsh mentioned. I'm just going to try and find it now. Here we go. Premier League needs to take responsibility for the demise of these clubs like Oldham. When the Premier League first came, it's made the EFL worse for me. Would you agree with that? I mean, do they have to take the responsibility?
Yeah, I'm all in for this this hashtag revamp the EFL in terms of supporting not just grassroots football, because look at some of the teams that we've lost. Unfortunately, yes, they're on the way back. Plymouth have just scored against Cheltenham as well, so
wow.
so that's a massive goal in the promotion race. But away from that, I think we've lost Bury, we've lost Macclesfield. We were so close to losing Grimsby at one point. Bolton, we nearly lost. Some of these teams that, historical teams that we lost or nearly lost due to, money problems and bad ownership. And the fact that the Premier League, obviously, I'm going to take my Man United hat away from this right now. But, the way the Premier League just sit there and just, carry on like nothing has happened does feel like a kick in the teeth for an EFL fan. And I must say, there has to be some sort of, following through of the money. You talk about the championship teams that come down from the Premier League come straight back up, and that's because of the parachute payments. You don't get that in League One to League Two. If you get relegated from League One, you're by yourself basically. If you don't have money, you're ultimately screwed. And I think that is an issue. But then again, is it really their responsibility? Is the devil's advocate approach, you could say?
I know. I mean, I will put my Premier League hat on here because my team Leicester, you may have noticed, we've gone out of business. We've gone into administration. It was us going into administration and Neil Warnock complaining about it that brought in points deductions for teams that went into administration, because we went into administration, didn't get a points deduction, and came straight back up to the Premier League, which you could argue isn't right, but it's how it was at the time. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, should Boots is a big conglomerate, so should they help out the little corner shop, the chemist, or it's business at the end of the day, and football is a business now. And the fact of the matter is that really, to me, I think it's down to the EFL. And like I say, I have been there and I feel the pain. My team went out of business once, nearly went out of business twice. Even as a lower league team, we got investment in, but it was then Milan Mandrić, and he sold to King Power Group, and we know where that has led us. So a lot of these purchasers, once you get past the Chelsea bidding and all that, they're likely to go for a club maybe that's further down and build them up, because it'll be cheaper than sort of paying millions and billions for a Premier League club. But I just think a lot of the time it's down to these clubs. They don't necessarily. I mean, we know we've all seen bad owners that have come in, and Leyton Orient and Berries, where they do come in and sort of rip the clubs off. But surely that's down to the EFL,
When Berry's owner came in, he's an absolute disgrace. I can't quite remember his name, but he was an absolute idiot, is what we'll say. But the EFL should have blocked that buy or blocked that purchase of Berry. You've got to look at sort of the back catalogue. You've got to look at where those ownership groups or ownership families have come from, what their backstory is, what they have done in previous roles and previous jobs, and you've got to take that into account, and how they've let Bury, Macclesfield, Oldham, Bolton, and all that just plummet. And there's another team that you may have remembered at the quite a high level, Southend. They're towards the bottom of the non-league now, and it's not non-league, bottom of National League. Sorry, and it's just bad that they've just let these teams drop. And Scott made a good point about there are gems in the EFL, because there are.
Yes. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. We benefit from that. Jamie Vardy, like he said, James Justin, all coming from non-Premier League teams, and getting on with us. We've always taken advantage of that. But like I say, you know, I mean, I actually, and I can't really name companies, but I worked for a financial institution that was forced. If another financial institution went out of business, one of the big so-called 5 or 6 would have to take them over to protect the client's money. They didn't have any say in it. The FSA, Financial Services Association, would come in and go, "You've got to take this company over," and it's like, well, it's not their fault. You know what I mean? It's why should they have to deal with it? And yeah, you know, you could argue that you know there's a lot of money going around in the Premier League, but you know it's the nature of the beast. It's evolution. It's how it's grown. And I know ITV, I think, have just signed a deal for Leagues One, the Championship League One and League Two, to cover it from next season. So it's coming off Quest and going on to ITV.
Yeah,
whether that's a good thing or not after ITV Digital all those years ago, I don't know. But
well, yeah, anything's better than Quest.
Yes, this is true.
The coverage on that is awful.
But I mean, you look at, you know, you look at you know, Leicester, and you know, we can't compete with the bigger boys. You know, it is sort of a pecking order as you go down, and there are so many ways that the EFL could help clubs out. I mean, it happened before and it was changed, but why not have a League Two North and South?
Oh God!
But I'm saying, you know, I mean, we joke now about, you know, Chelsea requesting to, you know, share a coach with Man City, whoever it was, because they're both playing a Madrid club.
Yeah, they're playing, wasn't it? Because they're both going to Madrid.
Yeah,
like that, yeah.
And I know it's a joke with Chelsea because of the situations. You know, they say the bigger you are, the further you fall. But surely, you know, if Newport were in the same league as, well, you possibly are, say Bristol Rovers.
Yeah,
that's a local derby for you. That's not exactly a long trip. You're there and back in a day. Would you not sooner have those sorts of games than the Carlisle United, who are sort of way up and sort of the other end of the earth, sort of thing?
Yeah, well, it'd be better for travel, wouldn't for expenses.
But it's better for expenses, and you know, your coach hire and your petrol and all that, which clubs have to pay for. You know, I'm not saying it's ideal, but you're still getting the same. You know, you could have, instead of, you know, 3 leagues of 24. You know, these other countries around the world don't have these huge leagues. You know, they've got leagues of, you know, I know Scotland's a different thing, but, you know, they've got sort of divisions of 10, of 12. And, you know, if one season, because of the way it works out, you've got a league of 13, so what? You know, you still fit these games in. There'd be less games needing to be played necessarily, which would be better for the clubs, as in, again, expenses. I just feel there are things that the EFL can do to help themselves. And I think when, like you say, with Rick Parry coming in and from day one saying, right, well, we're going to get this sorted by getting money off the Premier League. I mean, you know, it's a defeatist attitude from the start. You've got to have a decent plan to save your business.
Well, any organisation needs to have a structure and a way of attacking a structure. And I think as soon as he said that, it was basically like, well, we've got no structure. We're just going to hope that, you know, teams around us can basically drop us the leftovers sort of thing. And it always reminds me of basically, you know, what I've just said. We'll try our best, but as long as we're getting stuff fed in from everyone else, it doesn't matter because we don't have to do anything, sort of thing. But I can see a pro and con to that idea that you did bring up about a league north and south, because it was discussed in the summer when I can't remember why it was, but it was just some madness over Twitter for a couple of weeks in the summer about potential instead of, so it'd be Premier League, Championship, and then it was like EFL North and South or something. So League One and League Two would be the 24 most southern teams, and the 24 most northern teams would be in those divisions. But then it wouldn't make sense because, like you said, if a team got promoted or relegated and there's more southern teams than northern teams. Teams would get annoyed saying, well, we're less southern than them, and it would cause all sorts of thing in that aspect. But financially, it would be absolutely...
Yeah, maybe not in the Championship. That may be sort of too much, but reduce the Championship maybe to 20 teams. And then, like I say, it doesn't matter having an odd number of teams in, because you just play an extra game on a Wednesday or whatever. So it's easy to work around that. But certainly, I think from sort of, League One down, for me, it's just a way, like you say, of saving money, really, and Chris says we've seen worse ideas. Thank you, Chris. The check's in the post. I think it's probably the fact that I'm old enough, and I don't necessarily remember it when it was sort of the old fourth division North and fourth division South. But I just think, we have to move with the times, and we have to accept that changes need to be made. I'm just going to say that we're going to end this very, 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 very shortly, but I'm back at 9 o'clock if you want to see more of this. So move on to if there is any, can I just say, as a disclaimer, if there is anybody watching that is called Foot Leg Boat, I apologise for laughing at your name. Please forgive me. But that's just for the solicitors. I'm just going to say that for the solicitors. Foot Leg Boat, eh? I bet he's been around a few of the lower league clubs in his time.
I was just about to say, we're losing a lot of players at the end of the season, potentially with contracts. I might have to see how Foot Leg Boat is doing recently. To see.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as soon as I love those type of quizzes where they have emojis to make a name. So as soon as I seen it was Tony Cruz, I was like, right, let's see what they come up with.
Yeah. It's when you're actually having to do the question, it's a lot harder. And for anybody that hasn't watched it, it's called the Big Fat Football Quiz 2, although I am in the process of renaming that, as you will see later. But I'm the big fat bit, and the football quiz is very tenuous link, to be honest with you. But it's a laugh. It is a laugh, and that's at 9 o'clock. And the defending champion, Craig, is being challenged by Rob from West Ham, Forge from Iron. And we're going to have to get yourself back on there because, of course, you weren't able to attend because you didn't know when Man United were playing. So you were double booked.
At least I know when Wales are playing, Chris.
You don't say that again, sorry?
I said, at least I know when Newport and Wales are playing, Chris.
Well, this is true. Thanks a lot, Chris. Means a lot. I just thought I'd say do something different. Maybe we could we could revisit this at the end of the season when we know sort of
maybe a preview show towards the next season as well, potentially.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, we should. I like the lower leagues. It's fun to sort of watch and see who's going up and who's down.
You're involved in it.
as long as we're not in it. Exactly. Enjoy this discussion. Thank you very much, sir. Mike, you do a lot with me, so thank you very much for coming on today. Your knowledge of the lower leagues is second to none. Please, can I say the lower leagues? I don't mean that in a detrimental way. It's really what we say, yeah. But you also are a Man United fan, as well as Newport. I wish Newport lots and lots of luck for the rest of the season. Hope you get promoted, mate. I don't wish the same for Man United. I hope you crash and burn. But and there are some links in the description on YouTube as to Mike's Twitter and his YouTube accounts. But give a shout out where people can find you.
Yeah, Mike Green on YouTube. Terrible, Chris. I know a lot about darts. That's not the point, though. But hey. Mike Green on YouTube. There will be a vlog out on Saturday for Bradford away. Really not looking forward to the travel of that. Hopefully the game will be good, but if we lose that, it'll be really devastating to go all that way and lose. Yeah. But there will be a vlog out Saturday, so please make sure to check that out. Mike Green on YouTube. Give us a give us a sub over there. That'll be much appreciated. And thanks to Chris for getting me on. And also, if you're into darts, yes, this is the man to tell us about your dart channel. Yeah.
As I said many times, I don't see the point in it, but go ahead and.
Well, we won't talk about your daily. I think it was the Daily Mail dart that you used to tell us about, or Daily Mirror when. Well, we're not going to get into that. But
I'm trying to think now. You got me worried. I don't know. I must have been drunk. I don't remember telling you anything.
About the ladies playing darts.
Sorry?
About the ladies playing darts.
Oh, when I was playing darts against the nuns.
Yeah.
And I turned up and I stood there at the hockey and I threw the first dart, treble 20. I thought, get in. Threw the second dart, 20, 80. I'm in here. Through the third dart, it hit the wire, bounced off, went straight between the eyes of one of the nuns and she collapsed on the floor. And the guy shouted, 1 nun dead and 80.
I knew it was coming. But yeah.
That's your fault for bringing it up.
Yeah. That was my fault, to be fair. But you can also find that content on my channel as well. On the same channel, but I do a weekly podcast with Chris in the chat on a Tuesday, and then do watch longs for as many of the tournaments as I can throughout the year.
Brilliant. Go and support Mike. Yeah, he is Welsh, but he's a good lad.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he is in his prison cell, as you can see, so he does need all the support. Any cards you can send him will be much appreciated. Just remember not to
come through. I'm waiting for him to shoot.
The problem is we have a choice. It's either the prison cell look or the Man United lampshade look, and I suppose this is the better of the two.
Go on.
Well, I say you should do a double act with Dan. You know, you got the lampshade, he's got the pajamas.
Let's not talk about double acts. He might bring his S Club 7 out.
Oh God, no! Let's not go there, mate. Let's not go there. Mike, thanks very much, mate. I'm going to have to shoot off because I say got the next show at 9. But thank you very much. I say great knowledge there. Be sure to get over and sub this guy, and we will speak soon, no doubt.
Yeah, thanks for getting me on.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. Appreciate it. Take care, bud.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks to Mike there, great guy, knows his stuff. Like I say, you can forgive him for being Welsh, but do take sympathy on him. He's when he's off screen, he does wear his Guantanamo orange clothes, but we won't mention that. Thanks very much for watching. I saw that, Mike. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for listening. If you're listening on the podcasts, hope you've enjoyed it. Been a little bit different, but it's nice to talk about general football rather than just our own team occasionally. Like I say, I'll be back at 9 for the Big Fat Football Quiz 2, or keep calm and take a quiz, as we like to say. I'll see you then for the Leicester versus West Ham challenge. Take care. See you in 50 minutes.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.